The House comes to questions. I will answer question number 1 in the name of James Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, on what dates did he discuss with the Minister of Revenue his conversation with Ken Whitney on foreign trusts, and what specifically did he say to the Minister?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's no record of when I spoke to the Minister of Revenue, but it would have been between the 27th of November 2014, when the Herald story first appeared, and the 2nd of December 2014, when Mr Whitney emailed the Minister. I informed the Minister that I've been approached by Mr Whitney, who acts for me in my personal capacity, that Mr Whitney was part of an industry group working in the New Zealand foreign trust industry, that I told Mr Whitney that I was unaware of the issue he had raised in the Herald story, and his group should meet with the Minister.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Did he tell the Revenue Minister to expedite his meeting with the foreign trust industry?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Did he tell the Revenue Minister to ditch Inland Revenue's recommendation to review the foreign trust sector?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is he comfortable with the fact that his Revenue Minister told foreign trust lobbyists in his first meeting with them on December the 16th, 2014, that, quote, the government had no intention of conducting a general and public review of foreign trust rules?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, well, that would have reflected, obviously, the view and the advice he's got. It's consistent with IRD actually saying that would have taken away from work that they want to do that was about the New Zealand tax base. But that's not what I instructed him to say, because I didn't instruct him to say anything in that meeting.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
What evidence does he have that it was Inland Revenue officials and not the Minister who recommended that there not be a review of foreign trust regulation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I wasn't part of the meetings. I wasn't involved in that. What my only involvement was that my lawyer at the time came to me and said there'd been a story in the New Zealand Herald. I was quite clear and said, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you need to go and see the new Minister as part of the lobby group. They went, and that's quite standard practice. And actually, people come and approach me every day, and I point them towards the ministers. And, Mr. Speaker, just as an example of that, if the member was to ever...
Point of order, James Shaw.
Mr. Speaker, my question was, what evidence does he have about that decision? He didn't address that part of the question.
I think on this occasion he clearly did. The question, when you said what evidence, the Prime Minister was laying out the evidence that he had for the statement made. Does the member have further supplementaries?
Supplementary, Mr.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
So given that it was his own lawyer who asked for and was granted a guarantee that there wouldn't be a review of foreign trust regulation, is he not concerned about the perception that lobbyists can influence government policy on behalf of vested interests in New Zealand?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The member's misrepresenting the situation. I was asked about a story that was in the New Zealand Herald. I made it quite clear I didn't know the details of that story, nor do I handle that. That's handled by ministers, and I did what is the fully and totally appropriate thing. I told the person and their lobby group to go and speak to the minister. That happens every day, and if the member was to ever get into government, is he saying that if Russell Norman ever came up to him and said there was an issue in relation to the environment, he wouldn't tell the person to go and speak to the environment? In New Zealand, we're a small country. People know other people.
Speaker.
Order.
First of all, Russell Norman isn't my lawyer.
Order.
My question was...
Order. If the member wishes to raise a point of order, he's welcome. Could I have the point of order, please?
Certainly. My point of order was that my question was whether he was concerned about the perception that lobbyists can influence government policy.
No. There was a lead into the question along the words given that there was given a guarantee there wouldn't be a review or words to that effect. So there was quite a lot more in the question to which the Prime Minister took the opportunity to respond.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Will he consider following the UK government's practice of publishing ministers' diaries so that it is transparent to the public who, at least, is lobbying whom?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no, but my diary and the things that I do are pretty publicly known. This was a situation where someone came up to me and asked me about a story in the paper, and I did what I think most New Zealanders would expect me to do, which is to say go and speak to the Minister.
Order. Is this a point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
So again, my question was about publishing ministers' diaries, not his own diary.
And the very first answer, the first word given by the Prime Minister was no, he wouldn't consider it. Question number 2.